This podcast is supported by FX's English teacher. Last year's critically acclaimed series returns to follow Evan, Gwen, and Marky as they vie for their students' divided attention. See why Cosmopolitan called its premiere season a masterclass of comedy, while Glamour raved it's the year's funniest and most heartwarming new comedy series. FX's English teacher. All new Thursdays on FX. All episodes now streaming on Hulu.
Welcome back to I Want That Too, the podcast where Disney merch meets Disney history. I'm entertainment writer Jim Hill, and as always, I'm joined by the lovely Lauren Hersey. And you have been busy planning travel, well, not for this month, but for November. Is that right?
Yes. I think we talked about planning the New York trip, but this weekend it was my daughter Lainey's birthday, and it was a Wicked theme, and her big birthday present is we're seeing Wicked on Broadway, so all things Wicked were happening. And because she's my only daughter, it was Lainey weekend. It was like her birthday month. It was all about her. So it was a really, really fun time. So we're looking forward to the grand finale of going and seeing it on Broadway.
That is so cool. Now, mind you, it's going to spoil the end for Wicked for good, and it's got a killer end. I'm not going to give it away, but it's got an absolutely killer end. Though that said, did you see the final trailer for Wicked for Good? I want to say it came out this past week.
Yes. And you were going to talk about it later on the show, but there is a opportunity for subscribers, which we'll talk about, to see the movie 4 days early. And It just happens to be like literally the day that we arrive at New York. So we're going to we will see the movie after the ending is spoiled for Lainey.
Okay, good. All right. And again, I'm intrigued to see how they will do the ending in the film. And by the way, I know this is a Disney merch podcast and we're talking about something from Universal, but I did want to point out, in fact, I was telling Lauren about this as we were pre-gaming this week's show, that Disney just is staring at the whole Wicked gauntlet and is like, if you can't beat them, join them. So for those of you who aren't already members of D23, the official Disney fan club, this month's issue of Disney 23 magazine actually has a feature story about Disney's own Oz movie. Only it's Return to Oz rather than Oz the Great and Powerful, and kind of a fun tie for those of you who love Nightmare Before Christmas. But one of the things they include as part of this article are storyboards that Henry Selick, who is the director of Nightmare Before Christmas, that Tim Burton film, storyboards that he did for Return to Oz. So again, if you want to check out Disney Oz, go get yourself the fall 2025 issue of Disney 23 magazine. Yeah,
and if you like some witches, we're going to be talking about more witches. We are going to talk a little bit about like Wicked merch, what's going on with streaming, and you have a witch-related feature today, right, sir?
I do. This is the witch that Disney almost introduced. In fact, we would have met her in 1967. But we'll get to that story in a moment. But first, we should probably acknowledge our sponsor. And this episode of I Want That Too is brought to you by our friends at unlockmagic.com, the same trusted team behind DVC Rental Store and DVC Resale Market. And if you are planning a Disney trip, they've got the best deals on Walt Disney World tickets, including the lowest price tickets for, there are no tickets left for Mickey's Not So Scary at this point.
Sorry about your luck on that one.
There we go. But on the other hand, don't dilly-dally, folks, if it comes to Mickey's Very Merry for 2025. The last time I checked, there were already 3 dates sold out for that one. But they've also got tickets for Jollywood Night. So visit unlockmagic.com to grab the very best ticket deals and make your next Disney trip a little more magical. Okay, so let's talk about the news of the week, which, for starters, kind of a pain in the wallet, right?
Something that's scary but not witches.
There we go. All right, so tell the nice people what happened.
Yeah, so I feel like we have to talk about the price of everything going up, and streaming is no exception. So this past week, Disney Plus made headlines by announcing yet another price increase. There's some speculation that, that it was just really poor timing, with the Jimmy Kimmel of it all. But the company has come out and said, no, that had nothing to do with people canceling. And, if you look at historicals, this is about the time every year that they have raised prices. So here's what we're looking at. So Disney Plus Premium, so no ads, it's going from $13.99 to $15.99 a month. Hulu Premium, no ads, is jumping from $17.99 to $19.99 a month. ESPN Plus is holding steady at the $10.99, and then the bundle with all three is now $24.99 a month. So those are some real increases, and they, the company came out and said that they want to, continue to invest in the content. So I guess that is their story, and that's what they're sticking to. But what I like to say is, we are bougie on a budget around here, and we've got to be smart shoppers so that we can afford all of the merch stuff that we want to buy, because, there are ways to cut the bill down or, maybe get some of these services at no extra cost. So this week I did my homework, and you are going to get a mild education on saving some money. You in?
I'm in. Tell me how.
Okay. So first and foremost, I stumbled on this one this weekend. So in Wheeling, in our region, we have Kroger. And Kroger is like a Food Lion, like a grocery store. And Disney has a partnership with Kroger for Boost members, because I do not go to the grocery store. I get all of my groceries delivered for free. And I did not realize, so this week was like customer appreciation, and I was renewing my membership for the year. And if you are a Boost subscriber, you can get Disney Plus, Hulu, or ESPN Plus for free as a part of your membership.
Oh, okay.
How about that?
Very cool. Okay.
Yeah, so that's in addition to getting, obviously, the free delivery, and you get really good gas discounts. So pick one for free. Okay, so mark that one off we got.
Okay.
All right, so number 2 is Walmart Plus, and this isn't specifically Disney, but it is saving on streaming, and all the money, all the savings count, every dollar. So it used to be if you pay for Walmart Plus, which I do, it came with Paramount Plus for free, but they just added Peacock. So you could pick between Peacock for free or Paramount. So why not take advantage of that? That's another $13 a month.
Okay, no, I love this. Okay. Now, we were just talking about D23.
D23 and Disney Plus. So we're back over on Disney Plus Perks. So remember, there's a separate site. This one is perks.disneyplus.com. And they just put the free D23 Gold membership deal back up on the site. So for this one, you need to go to the homepage and then click Discover More to get the free $99 Gold membership. But it's there.
Okay.
And then the next one is, this is a weird one. I don't even think Eric believed me, but I told him that I tried it for you guys to make sure. So Old Navy. Disney has a relationship with Old Navy right now where they're offering $60 in super cash. So I actually went to the Old Navy website to try this out. And what it is $20 off of every $50 you spend up to $150. So you are indeed getting $60 in savings by going through and using the promo code on Disney Plus perks. Not too shabby, right?
No. Okay. I will have to let Nancy know about this. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
And as of today, they just added a chance to win a trip to the Zootopia 2 world premiere. So, and that's in LA, and they just put this up today.
Oh, okay. Duly noted. All right. And anything else by way of be aware of this offer? You can save some dough.
Yes. Okay. So we subscribe to all of these. So that's how I know all this stuff. But there are some really big perks to being an Amazon Prime member. So most people don't realize that there is, it's called Prime Premiere, and Amazon will give you 2 free movie tickets to their partner movie screenings. They sometimes do free concessions. So those are real perks. And so if you go to, I think it's primepremiere.prime.com. You also can get early access to movies, which is really cool. And the newest one is for Wicked for Good, like I mentioned. Prime, how about that? Prime members right now can buy tickets through Fandango starting on October 30th to see the film on actually November 17th, which is 4 days before the premiere on the 21st.
Oh, how cool. All right. But that's not all over the place, right? The only selected theaters, or?
Yeah, but it's still a good perk, and they're leaning in heavily to Wicked, which everybody is right now. There's gonna be a new Wicked Alexa themes for Echo devices, where Glinda and Elphaba can give you the weather, which I thought was really fun. It was Are I telling you jokes?
Oh no, I'm sorry. That's not something I want in Tornado Alley, okay?
But really, what else are you using your Alexa for? Every day I use my Alexa. I say, hey, Alexa, what's the weather? And she's going to start talking. So I shouldn't say that.
Okay.
But anyway, they're also doing a Together for Good stream along on Twitch for our, I don't know if our listeners are younger and know what Twitch is, but that is a live video gaming platform. So there's going to be Wicked themed content, and then the donations. So it's the donations unlock rewards, so event, fundraiser. So lots of Wicked. But ultimately going back and bringing this thing full circle. Yes, the price of Disney Plus went up, but there are ways to save money so that we can buy the merch that we actually want.
Okay. Well, no. Thanks for walking us through that. And actually, some tips there I myself will try to take advantage of. But anyway, circling back to again, it's October, it's witchy season, and again, that if I go to my local Target, they now have the Wicked aisle. So can you talk to us a little bit about what one might find when one walks down the Wicked for Good aisle?
Oh my gosh, there is so much Wicked. And so I did find an article, and I Google it, Hollywood Reporter. They're keeping a running tally of Wicked merch as it drops. So this stuff may not be in the Target Wicked aisle, but you can definitely buy it online. And all of this is out before the movie even comes out. I literally, Jim, saw Eric and I just started watching Stranger Things. I'm late to the bandwagon with literally everything. And we were getting ready to turn it on, and there was a Gain commercial for Wicked scented laundry soap. That is how far we're at, with this obsession.
I mean, face it, the first film did as well as it did, over $1 billion worldwide. And, there were a number of companies who stood by the sidelines who then raise their hands like, okay, all right, we missed about the first time, we're in, and so here we are.
Yes, so here we are. So starting at the top, I'm just picking a couple of my favorite things, but if you are an American Girl doll fan, on AmericanGirl.com or on Amazon right now, there is a Wicked Collector series, and you can get an Elphaba or a Glinda doll, and they're beautiful, but they are $295, Jim.
Yeah, that's I have tracked the American Doll since this franchise was launched in the 80s or thereabouts, and the folks who run this thing don't miss a trick. It just I always remember going into the standalone American Girl stores, and it was just like, oh, well, you want the doll? Well, you need her dog, and you need her desk, and you need her bicycle, and it was like, it was like, wow, But to be fair here, these likenesses of Elphaba and Galinda are pretty cool. They do a nice job, but wow, $295.
So to give you some context, these are collector dolls, but I went to the Disney store because I was like, what is this? I'm sure they have a collab with Disney, right? Well, they do. They have a line of Disney princesses that you can get right now in the Disney store. And Tiana and Ariel are on, they're 18-inch dolls, same size, everything, on the Disney store for $135. And Wicked is $295. So there's that.
There's that. Okay.
All right, moving along. So now we're talking Swarovski crystal. And you can see this beautiful Glinda wand ornament. And they also have two figurines. And the ornament is on Nordstrom or Swarovski. It is $189. It's beautiful. It could be good, in a cabinet, like maybe, I don't know if I'd put that on my tree, but check those out. Quite beautiful.
And by the way, if you saw the final trailer for Wicked for Good, what's fascinating about this is actually the top piece on Glinda's wand, and it literally gets featured in the trailer. Madame Morrible literally says that, like, the wand really helps sell the outfit, and you get to watch Glinda popping the bubble with this very same piece at the top of her wand. So just interesting that somebody at Universal or somebody at Sikorsky said that we want to do that. Let us have that, and we will sell it for $189.
Yeah. Okay, so these ones haven't dropped yet, but we're going to talk about advent calendars. And I've talked about doing Gentle Christmas in the last couple shows, but something that I did 2 weeks ago was I ordered my advent calendars because, shockingly, they do sell out the closer you get to Thanksgiving. So two Wicked advent calendars that will both drop on September 30th. So is that today? Is that today, the day we're recording this? I think the show goes live on October 2nd. So you should be able to get your advent calendars. So we've got two which are very, very different when it comes to prices. The first one is 25 Days of Surprises, and it is $34. And this one is classic countdown, and it has like magnets, coasters, like a Glinda and Elphaba friendship bracelet. So, more mainstream for, families or anybody that loves Wicked. And then, Jim, I cannot believe I didn't send you a link to this. I'm very, very sorry. But we have the premium advent calendar for Wicked. And this one is closer to $125.
Yeah.
For an advent calendar.
But let's remember, in fact, I want to say, was it last show or the show before that, where you found that advent calendar with the plush for Nightmare Before Christmas that I want to say.
Yeah, it was over 100.
There we go. So, I mean, face it, you're dealing with a certain subset of Wicked fans, or for that matter, Nightmare Before Christmas fans. But if you're somebody who really, really loves the film and the world of Wicked, these sound like some fun collectibles. The sculpted notebook, the paperweight, the enamel pins.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're getting a collector box, and it is display worthy. It's not like you're getting the, Dollar General version where you get like a little piece of chocolate every day. Like you're getting, salt and pepper shakers, for gosh sakes. So those are out there.
Okay.
As well. A couple other quick ones. Do you know what a Nawala is?
I do not. I hang on. It's not the giant water bottle, right? These are the more stylized ones. Am I correct?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Now I know what you and Nancy are getting for Christmas.
Okay.
But we are obsessed with the Walla bottles around here. So Lainey showed me an Instagram reel that are also doing a collab for Wicked. And so what makes the Walla water bottle so special is that it is like a dual spout how you drink. So you can like suck on it like a straw, or you can tip the bottle all the way back for a traditional water experience. But they're coming out with the Glinda pink and then Elphaba green. And what is it called? It's like the... what's it called? With the holographic is Glinda. So they're $39.99 each, or $80 for the set. I think we're gonna get the set. And for this one, October 8th is your date. If you want a Walla, there are Wicked Legos, and the most obscure of them all, Jim, is, do you remember the Care Bears?
I do. But I think I've seen these. These are the Care Bears done as the Oz characters, right? And I actually, and we're not talking just Elphaba and Glinda, though. The Scarecrow, the Lion, the Tin Man, is that right?
Yes. But how random is this? Like, are the Care Bears still a thing? Like, I thought we left them in the 80s.
Literally just today, somebody sent me information about how, there's a company out there reviving Marsupilami, again from the 1980s. Anything that has even remote brand awareness is getting revisited. I do want to say, though, that having seen the images of the Oz Care Bears, the likenesses on the Scarecrow, the Lion, and the Tin Man are actually really good. If you're a fan of the Oz stories.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it's a collab that anybody really asked for, but I'm here for it.
It's there. Yep.
And they're only $12.99. So why not? Cute stocking stuffer? I don't know. But speaking of things that I thought that we left in the 80s or 90s, but are back, did you see the Disney World Lincoln Log sets?
Okay, now again, I want to stress here, I'm elderly, okay, and as a man in his 60s, I remember very distinctly long before people were stepping on Legos with their bare feet. I remember almost killing my father with Lincoln Logs, him, stepping on one and losing his ink. So, this is actually a 50s or 60s toy we're talking about that's coming back. But yeah, so we have a trio of Disney theme park themed Lincoln Logs, right?
Yeah. And I I'm kind of here for them. So there is the Frontier Trading Post Lincoln Log set, and I think these are cheap for Disney standards. Like that one is $24.99. You get it's like 3 possible builds. You get the little tin container, like you know what I'm talking about. And then there's the Country Bear Musical Jamboree Lincoln Log set, and this one has Big Al and Trixie and Henry. So I feel like that's super cool. And then there's Big Thunder Mountain Railroad Lincoln Logs, and I think this is the Mac Daddy. It's $49.99, but you're getting Mickey and Minnie and Donald in like cowboy costumes. So like if you have someone at the park, and I feel like maybe you can buy these online, but wouldn't this be a fun like Christmas gift? Like for a Disney lover?
Totally. And I'm just going to put this out there, folks, that if you know anybody who is a Country Bear fan, they make so little merch these days that of these 3, I bet you that one's going to go clean the fastest. So again, as Lauren has talked about on our, repeated episodes of I Want That Too, about how she's doing a gentle Christmas, acquiring stuff early so it doesn't get quite so crazed or quite so expensive right in the holiday season. But I would move on this one, the Country Bear Musical Jamboree Lincoln Log set sooner rather than later, because again, so little out there for bear fans, and that they will jump on this.
Absolutely. All right. And so, I mean, we're taking it back, like we've been talking about the 80s, the 60s, and the 70s. And you're talking about witches that we almost got in the 60s, right?
That's right. And we will get to that in a moment. But first, this.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
Icy Hot Pro with 2 max strength pain relievers. Targets multiple pain receptors. Ice works fast. Heat makes it last.
This episode is brought to you by Tic Tac. Your boss is going off at you for missing a deadline, and you swear the clock just moved backwards. Suddenly, you remember the pack of Tic Tacs on your desk. Now you're riding horseback on the beach, the smell of citrus in the air. And what's this? Your boss is sitting behind you, breathing heavenly fresh mint? Refresh your mouth and mind and share your good vibes with Tic Tac.
And we're back. Okay, Lauren and I, again, we are recording this on September 30th, but it will drop on October 2nd. So we're officially in the month of October, Halloween just over the horizon, witchy time of year. And on a previous edition of this podcast, we were taking a look at the Disney witches. I think, Lauren, we left off with Mad Madam Mim from The Sword and the Stone, which was released to theaters back in December of 1963. And Mim's a favorite among animators of a certain age. And we're talking about a lot of the folks who worked on Disney films from the company's second golden age, Lauren, which, by the way, stretched from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, that arrived in theaters of June of 1988, all the way to The Lion King in June of 1994. Now, I know that's only 6 years, but it's worth noting that Disney's first golden age of animation, when the studio turned out its initial set of hand-drawn masterpieces, that only ran from December of 1937, that's when Snow White premiered in Hollywood, till August of 1942. That's when Bambi went into wide release during World War II. That one was even shorter. It was only 4 years and 8 months. But look what we got in that short sentence time. We got Snow White, December 37, Pinocchio, February of 1940, Fantasia, November that same year, 1940 again, Dumbo in October of 1941, and then, Bambi, as I mentioned earlier, August of 42. And the animated features that came out directly after this, well, they suffered because, studio was in a cash crunch at the time. A lot of the overseas territories where Disney's animated films traditionally did very well at the box office were out of reach for Walt at that point due to World War II. More to the point, a lot of the very best artists and animators who worked at Disney Studios in its heyday were no longer available to work for Walt because they'd either left the company's employ on the heels of the infamous animator strike that ran from May to September of 41, or because many of the men who worked for Walt had joined the service. By the way, worth noting here, Lauren, when I asked Disney legend Mark Davis about the film he most enjoyed working on during his 28-year-long stint at Walt Disney Animation Studios. That, by the way, that ran from 1935 to 1963. And Mark would then spend the next 15 years over at Imagineering. That's when he designed ride shows and attractions like the Haunted Mansion, before then retiring from the company in 78, though the way he described it, he barely walked in the door with the cardboard box of his stuff off of his desk when the phone rang, and it's like, you have to come back. We need you to work on Epcot and Tokyo Disneyland. So he was a consultant for the company for the next 5 years. But anyway, Mark once told me that his favorite film, at least when it came to working on a specific project, that was Song of the South, which was released at theaters in November of 1946. Now, this wasn't because Mark, it was his favorite Disney film, not because he was a huge fan of the Joel Chandler Harris Uncle Remus stories. Again, I know that's controversial subject matter, as is the entire film of Song of the South. And I want to stress here that Mark Davis didn't have a single prejudice bone in his entire body, but he wanted to talk about that specific time at Disney Studios when Song of the South was in production. And what he told me is that film went into production December of 44. World War II was winding down at that point. The Germans surrendered May of 45, the Japanese 4 months after that, so September of 45. So a lot of the guys who'd left Disney Studio at the start of the war were now coming back. And so they had the A-Team working on the animated portion of Song of the South. Specifically, the animators got into their task late 45, early 46. And he talked about with some of our very best guys, which is why that part of the movie looks so good and plays so well. And a quick side note here, out of Song of the South, the whole film is an hour and 35 minutes long, but there's 25 minutes of animation in this thing, Lauren. And by the way, Walt Disney himself knew that some of the very best animation his studio had ever done was included in Song of the South. And so how do we know this? Well, if you check out the premiere episode of the Disneyland TV show, which debuted on ABC October 27th, 1954, 71 years ago this month. What does Walt make a point of including as part of the debut of Disney's first ever weekly television series? It's a 4-minute-long chunk of animation pulled out of Song of the South. Specifically, it's a scene where Brer Rabbit tricks Brer Fox and Brer Bear into taking him to the laughing place. Anyway, back to Mark talking about working on Song of the South. He said, sadly, Walt wasn't able to hang on to a lot of these guys after they came back after the war. I mean, the studio was still gearing up at that time. We wouldn't even get started on Cinderella till January of 48. And so Walt didn't have anything for these guys to work on for like a year. And a lot of them just kind of wandered away. They went to other studios that were starting up at the time, like a UPA but he said, but for a short window of time, their The band was back together. All of the guys who'd done Snow White and Pinocchio and Fantasia were back in the building again, working on this animated stuff for Song of the South, and it was glorious. So, by the way, Lauren is always after me to tell you guys about any new Disney books that are about to come on the market. And since we were just a second ago talking about Fantasia, I want to let you know about a terrific new book that's about to hit store shelves. And this is Worlds to Conquer: The Art and Making of Walt Disney's Fantasia by J.B. Kaufman. Mr. Kaufman has spent decades studying Disney's first golden age. He wrote The Fairest One of All back in 2012, which is the definitive history of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. He followed that up with Pinocchio, the making of the Disney epic. That was in 2015. And then, Lauren, for the past decade, a lot of us Disney history buffs have been sitting here patiently waiting, JB, for the third book, which is going to take a similarly detailed look at Fantasia. So, and now, at this point, we are a month and change away from when Worlds to Conquer finally arrives. And I got to tell you, Lauren, the word is that this 320-page hardcover from Weldon Owen is just dazzling. It's just filled with amazing art and wonderful stories. So we really need to reach out to JB and see if he will come on. I want that too. And then explain why it took a decade, all right, for us to finally get Worlds to Conquer, which, by the way, officially goes on sale November 11th of this year. So, all right. Sorry, folks. We started this story because we wanted to talk about how, for a lot of animators of a certain age, Mad Madam Mim was the character that made them decide, that's what I want to do with my life. I want to be an animator. I want to work on a scene like that from Sword in the Stone, where Mad Madam Mim and Merlin have their wizards duel and then change into all these different creatures. And so it was all of those men and women who were kids in the 60s, who Lauren then went off to college in the 1970s and studied animation at places like CalArts, who then went to Disney Studios and helped create their second golden age, which started with Roger Rabbit, June of 1988, continued with Little Mermaid, November of 89. There's a lot of good stuff in Rescuers Down Under and The Prince and the Pauper. That's November of 1990. But the one that really, Beauty and the Beast, people forget, Lauren, that got nominated for Best Picture that year, and that had never happened with a full-length animated film before. And then right behind that is Aladdin, November of 91, and then finally Lion King, June of 94. One of the other reasons I'm bringing up the second golden age is, folks who actually worked at Disney during that time were saddened to learn of the recent passing of one of their colleagues, designer and animator Rick Hopp. Rick had an amazing run at Disney. He started at the studio working on Mickey's Christmas Carol. That went out in theaters November of 83, and then he worked on every hand-drawn film that Disney made until Princess and the Frog. That went out in theaters November of 2009. That's 26 years. I mean, that's not Mark Davis long, 28 years at the animation studio, but that's still impressive. And after Rick retired from Disney Studios, he then taught at the Laguna College of Art and Design. He taught the next generation of animators about, how to do that, animation design. And he was this hugely talented guy. And by the way, Drew Taylor and I will talk more about Rick's career on the next week's edition of Fine Tuning. But for now, just wanted to on behalf of Ms. Hersey, to send along our sincerest condolences to his friends and family. I mean, and while Mr. Hopp will most definitely be missed, his art and legacy will live on thanks to the films he helped make for Disney Studios. Now, mind you, not everything that Disney develops actually gets put into production. And when we get back from this break, we're going to talk about one particularly witchy project, which almost got made in the late 1960s. But before that, there's this.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
And we're back, Lauren. All right. So when we started today's feature, we were talking about Disney's Sword in the Stone. Released in theaters December 1963, had a score written by Richard M. and Robert B. Sherman, who had only just recently, at this point in the 60s, been hired as staff songwriters at Disney Studios. But jump ahead a year and 4 months. It's now April of 1965. Sherman Brothers have just won 2 Academy Awards, one for writing the score to Mary Poppins, and then another for writing that film's signature song, Chim Chim Cheree. And in between those 2 dates, December of 66, April of 65, Sherman Brothers had written that earworm of a song, It's a Small World. And that attraction was such a hit at the New York World's Fair that as soon as the fair closed up shop in Flushing Meadow, October of 65, Walt already packed that thing up. We're bringing it to Southern California so it can open at Disneyland Park in May of 66. In fact, you'll love this, Lauren. All right. If you ever get to go backstage at Disneyland's version of Small World and take a close look at the props and the sets for this thing, you will see dozens upon dozens of them literally have the Mayflower Moving Company sticker from 65, slapped on the back of them.
That is so cool.
The thing, they close the attraction October 17th, 1965, and just throw everything back into moving vans. Because again, this thing has to open May 28th of the following year, 7 months and 10 days later. So, they couldn't kid around. So it's like, oof, throw it in the back of the thing and drive it out to California and then put it into that building. But anyway, okay, so think about it. You're Walt Disney and you hired the Sherman Brothers and, they're doing great works for your theme parks and they just won Academy Awards and you want these guys to be happy. So it's like, we got to find some new worlds for these guys to conquer. So it's now like a month or 2 later. And Walt asked the Sherman Brothers to swing by his office at the studio. And so Dick and Bob actually thought they were there to talk about The Jungle Book, which was going to be Disney Studios' next full-length animated film. Wouldn't arrive in theaters till October of 67. By the way, Sherman Brothers wound up writing 5 songs for that film, but not the one you're thinking of, Lauren, The Bare Necessities. That one was actually written by a gentleman, Terry Gilkin. And it was the only song to survive from an earlier aborted version of this film that Walt was like, no, we don't want to make that, but keep that song. So anyway, Walt is there in his office with Dick and Bob, and he's grousing about how expensive it is to make an animated film these days, and and again, this kind of hilarious to me, Lauren, because it's like at this time Walt's complaining because it's Jungle Book, which is in production from June of '65 through late spring of '67. They spent a total of $4 million. Now, if you want to compare that to Zootopia 2, which, by the way, arriving in theaters middle of next month, November 26th, actually to be exact, that's at least $150 million. And that's just the production of the film, not the promotion. And a friend at the company shared that they're planning on spending $100 million on worldwide promotion of Zootopia 2. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, big dough. But anyway, back to Walt in his office, grousing to the Sherman Brothers. It's like, animated films, they cost too much. And what's frustrating to Walt is he really wants to make another fairy tale musical, something similar to Snow White and Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, sort of. But with the idea that a fairy tale with a full musical score. But here's the thing. February of that same year, 1965, Walt Disney had seen Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella on CBS. And this was, by the way, a kind of interesting bend in the story. This is a remake of something that Julie Andrews had done for that same television network back in March of 1957. Mind you, she did. This was a live broadcast on CBS, a version of Cinderella featuring a full score written by Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein, the guys who gave us Oklahoma and Carousel and The Sound of Music. And further weird little bend in the story, Lauren. November of 1997, Disney makes its own version of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. Do you ever see this one with Brandy, where Whitney Houston plays the fairy godmother in it? And by the way,
100%,
it's lovely, by the way, hugely entertaining, and Whitney Houston's production company actually made it. So here's what Walt tells the Sherman Brothers. It's like, look, I saw what CBS do. I think we can do better. I want us to do a musical for television, and I was thinking we should do, again, a fairy tale. And I think I got the fairy tale, Hansel and Gretel. And I want you guys to write the score. And not only that, but I got you a witch. How would you like to write music for Geraldine Page? Now, Walt had just begun hiring people to appear in The Happiest Millionaire. And Geraldine had auditioned for the film by performing the song that in fact the Sherman Brothers even wrote the score for The Happiest Millionaire, and they had written her character's song called There Are Those, and it's this really funny bitchy production number, and Walt was like, watch her auditions like, oh yeah, we have to do more with this lady, and it just sort of like, she's fun, and she'd make a great witch for Hansel and Gretel. So and this is the thing. Walt turned to Sherman Brothers and says, I've already talked to NBC. This is going to be the biggest thing we've ever done for television. Full-length color musical for television that we're going to put Cinderella to shame. So you guys go off and write the score. I figure, okay, it's going to be a 2-hour-long broadcast. We'll shoot it here on the Burbank lot. And so that's what the Sherman Brothers do. They go off and write a score for Hansel and Gretel. Now, mind you, they have to wait till production of The Happiest Millionaire wraps, and that goes before the cameras, May of '66, doesn't finish shooting till the fall. But the current plan is Hansel and Gretel will shoot on the Disney lot spring of the following year, 1967, so that the TV show, all of the effects work, post-production, scoring, that sort of thing, can be completed in time for Thanksgiving. And this will be the big holiday offering for NBC this year. But then, Lauren, November 1966, Walt Disney goes into the hospital for what the public is told is an operation to deal with an old polo injury. But to be honest, surgeons suspect that Walt has cancer. They want to do an exploratory operation. When they open him up, it's so much worse than they expected. I mean, they actually take his entire left lung and sew him back up, and then privately go meet with his wife Lillian and said, I'm so sorry. It's spread. We think he has a year and a half. And Lauren, he's gone in less than 6 weeks. Walt dies December 16th, 1966 at the age of 65. And now Hansel and Gretel, supposed to begin shooting, less than 6 months at this point. That means sets and costumes are already being designed. Casting is already underway. I mean, they've got Geraldine Page for their witch. But all of this is now placed on pause. And the Sherman Brothers are told, don't worry, we will shoot this eventually. But that never happens. And over the years, what I have been told is that, well, the Sherman Brothers, while they were waiting for Disney to revive Hansel and Gretel, they went over to United Artists to shoot Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And that went before the cameras, July of 1967 to October of that year. Wouldn't be released to theaters to December of 68. But here's the thing. There were executives at Disney who, when the Shermans did this, thought that they were being disloyal, thought it was very disrespectful in the wake of Walt's passing for them to walk out the door and shoot, effectively a Disney film. I mean, hell, it starred Dick Van Dyke, in fact, the dances for Chitty Chitty Bang Bang were choreographed by the very same people who did Mary Poppins. Even the score was done by, the same people, Erwin Kostal. But look, Dick Sherman himself told me that it was Walt who actually had written into the Sherman Brothers contract when they became the staff songwriters at Disney Studios. He actually insisted, look, we're going to put a specific clause in this contract that gives you guys the rights to go make one movie for an outside studio. And what Walt effectively told Dick and Bob, it's like, I want you to go work for those miserable bastards so that you then know how good you have it here at Disney and you'll never go away again. So that was the thing, was it Walt's insistence that this thing was in their contract. And so, and again, remember, Hansel and Gretel have been put on pause. So the Sherman Brothers, well, all right, while Disney's trying to figure out what it is after Walt dies, we'll go make Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. We'll come back. And by then, hopefully, it's, time to make Hansel and Gretel. But they came back, and Hansel and Gretel was never put into production. And what the Sherman Brothers also found is that Disney executives were using them less and less for writing songs for the studio or stuff for the parks. And in the end, the Shermans left Disney in 1970 after writing songs for the Aristocats and Bedknobs and Broomsticks, because it was like, we just got tired of waiting and not working. Now, what's kind of ironic about all this is, of course, Disney lost out on the opportunity to have this one witch, the witch from Hansel and Gretel, the one who was going to be portrayed by Geraldine Page. But on the other hand, Miss Page finally did get to play a Disney villain. She is the voice of Madame Medusa in Rescuers from 1977, and her voice combined with Milt Kahl's animation is just wonderful. She's a great Disney villain. To kind of bring this all full circle, look, we lose the Sherman Brothers. Robert passes away in March of 2012. Richard actually died just last year, May of 2024. But the full script More to the point, all of those wonderful songs that the Sherman Brothers wrote for Hansel and Gretel, they're still in the Disney archive. And I wonder if somebody, some enterprising individual at the studio, might spend an afternoon, go over to the archive, ask Becky Klein and her crew over there to dig you out the stuff and take a look at it. Because Disney is always, face it, we have a Frozen 3 and potentially a Frozen 4 coming out sometime in the next 5 years. And this is the Disney company. They're always looking for animated fairy tales to bring to the screen. And wouldn't it be cool to do one of those that featured a score that was actually written by the Sherman Brothers?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so that's our witchy tale for tonight.
On that note, I do think that it is time we close up shop for today.
Absolutely. And if you want to keep up with everything that's happening across the Jim Hill Media Podcast Network, please follow us on social. And don't forget to check out our Patreon for bonus shows and early access.
Yeah, there was just one on the Viewliner, so check that out. And if you like today's episode, leave us a quick review. It really helps more people find I Want That Too.
And if you have a question or an idea for a future episode, please feel free to shoot us a message. I can be reached at jim@jimhillmedia.com. And Lauren, you can be reached at...
I'm at lauren@laurenhersey.com, or send me a DM on Instagram. But thank you for listening. And that's it for today's show. We'll see you next time on I Want That Too.